Hello guys, it's D to the B here, and I'm in live action. This is the first review that I'm doing live action in, mostly because I can't use any Spider-Man footage without getting copyrighted. I can't even use a game because Sony likes to copyright people that use their material. So I can't even do a trailer of like that one Spider-Man game that one of the Spider-Men in this movie was in. I can't do that, so I'm just going to speak my thoughts with my actual face. So, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. It was definitely a good movie. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible. With films we've been getting lately, it's actually pretty good. I did have some issues with the film, but I will get more into that. So I'm going to hop into spoilers right away. So if you don't want to get spoiled for the movie, I'd say leave now. Or if you want to check out my rating of the movie, I'd say skip at this time. So the movie was interesting. It was definitely good, but again, had some issues with the movie itself. So why don't we get into spoilers? So the movie opens up with Gwen Stacy monologuing about the previous movie and how she misses all of her friends. And she's trying to fit in. We get to see Gwen's origin story with her Peter and what she went through and her constant life to make sure that she can escape from her father because he misunderstood what happened to Peter, which in this universe Peter was the lizard and Gwen technically killed him, and what's his name? What's Gwen's father's name? Mr. Stacy or something like that. And we basically get to see through her life. She encounters this vulture from, I think it was Spider-Noir's universe, or it was some sort of Spider-Man that was around during the olden days. I'm pretty sure this Spider-Man actually did appear, the Spider-Man that this vulture came from did appear in a video game a while back. So, and the animation style was definitely good. The animation is really good in this movie. And Spider-Gwen and Vulture fight it out for a bit, and Spider-Gwen is losing until Spider-Man 2099 comes in, and this other Spider-Woman comes in and basically helps her defeat this vulture from like a while back in time in an alternate universe. And near the end of Gwen Stacy's scene, she's encountered by her dad, and he is telling her to stand down. Gwen reveals her secret identity, and the father is in confusion, but he still does the job and tries to arrest his daughter, but that doesn't go well, and Gwen ends up leaving her dad to go join the other Spider-Man because might as well. Then we go to the Miles Morales scene, parts of the movie, and Miles Morales is doing his regular routine as Spider-Man. His parents are trying to get him into this college, and Spider-Man, aka Miles Morales, has to deal with this new threat, which is an old Spider-Man enemy known as Spot. And Spot can open like gateways through the spots in his mind which require something called like dark matter, which was created from the reality machine from the first movie. 3, 2, 1. Miles Morales beats Spot after Spot tried robbing a gas station. He got himself trapped into his portals, each of his limbs, and Miles Morales tied him up in web, and he was defeated for a bit. Then he switches back to Miles Morales and then goes to the school to prepare for college. But then Miles Morales' spider sense starts tingling, and he has to rush the whole college thing that they were discussing with, I'm guessing it's the principal or the school counselor, and he faces off him again, which also Miles' dad is involved with this fight after Spot is trapped in his own reality. Then Miles, as Spider-Man, and his dad had a bit of a conversation about Miles, which was a very funny conversation. Then Spider-Man leaves, and we continue on with the rest of the movie. Miles is getting like the cakes for the celebration for Miles' dad becoming the chief of the police or something like that. And he has to still deal with a bunch of the Spider-Man enemies on his way of delivering the cakes. Eventually, after Miles arrives, he gets in trouble by backsassing his parents, and he ends up getting grounded for 2 months. Then, as he is just coping, Spider-Gwen shows up and visits Miles, and they basically talk. Eventually, Miles and Gwen go on patrol and hang out for a bit. They end up going to the party that was earlier in the film. Then after Gwen and Miles and his parents talk, Gwen leaves, but Miles follows her, and we discover that Spot now has the ability to travel through the multiverse, which is actually kind of funny with the scenes. Like, we got to see one character from Venom. That was an unexpected cameo. I like how there is a Lego version of Spider-Man. I thought that was hilarious. As a massive Lego collector, if you look over there, I have tons of Lego sets, which I'll have to do some reviews. I do have a review toy channel. I just need to actually get to it. I'll leave that channel in the description. So far, I've only one video. Let's get back in the topic. Lego Spider-Man reports into 2099 Spider-Man that there's an anomaly, which Spider-Gwen goes to deal with, but Miles, of course, follows her, and we get to meet this Spider-Man, which he was actually pretty funny, and then we get to meet Spider-Punk, which his character was okay. I had some iffy things about Spider-Punk, but he wasn't terrible. They tried dealing with Spot, but they fail, because, of course, he's very powerful now. I heard Spot was actually not a popular villain of Spider-Man until one comic issue where he redeemed himself, from what I've heard. Granted, I never really read the comics. Personally, I think I would rather read a lot of the older Marvel comics than watching the MCU, because the MCU is dead at this point. But continuing on, um, Spider-Gwen is not happy that Miles had followed her, and Miles saved like the chief of police in the this version of Spider-Man. I forget his name. Something like that. I can't describe it. After Miles saved the police chief in that universe, the reality kind of is a bit messy and Miles, Spider-Gwen, and the Spider-Punk and the other Spider-Man are called to the main office, or the main headquarters, I would say, and we get to see this whole big village of Spider-Man. I really love this scene. I kind of like how it's all angled. There are definitely a lot of references to previous Spider-Man incarnations. I really liked it. Then the characters meet up with Spider-Man 2099, and he is not happy, and especially since Gwen had brought him to their world, and more got him involved, because we find out that Miles Morales is actually an anomaly to the timeline, which the movie says canon for some reason. So one thing I did have an issue with in this movie was the whole canon thing. It drove me nuts. Like, personally, every time 2099 mentioned how canon, in canon, this is how this guy was supposed to die, and if you mess with this with canon, it wipes the reality. When he was just saying the word canon and being a bit frustrating about it, I might be misunderstanding this, and you have all the right to kind of criticize for me for this, but when I saw him saying like how it messes with canon and it's basically an anomaly, I kind of found that kind of a little bit irritating, because I felt like that was a nod to the people who like to follow canon to certain storylines. I could just be misreading it. It's definitely not terrible. Of course, now thinking about it, I don't get why he said canon. Like, why didn't you say timeline instead? That would have made more sense, because you're affecting the timeline that is set up, which would cause a paradox. Yeah, I know my time travel stuff a little bit. I know it's the multiverse, but it still kind of lumps in to time travel a little bit. And 99 is trying to keep Miles in the Spider Land, so he can't create a paradox to Miles' timeline, because Miles is already a paradox to his universe, because the spider that bit Miles is from another universe, and it wasn't supposed to be there, and basically the other Spider-Man, or mostly Spider-Man 2099, is trying to get rid of Miles to correct the paradox, which Miles is not for. And 99's logic makes sense, because like the whole messing with it and creating problems, it makes sense. 99 is definitely in the right in this situation. It was kind of frustrating, including when it gets a bit further into the film. And Miles tries escaping. Well, yeah, we go through a whole montage. And we get to see all these Spider-Men go after Miles. Like, we get a Spider-Cat, we get a Spider-T-Rex, we get all these other Spider-Men. We get this cool shot of all the Spider-Men going after Miles, and eventually he finds a way out. Oh, we also got to see the MCU version of the Prowler. Now, that was unexpected. But anyway, Miles escapes, 99 goes, and it sends Gwen back to her timeline because she failed to get Miles as he escaped. And her and her dad have a bit of a moment together. Then Gwen goes to... I'm sorry, my nose itches. Gwen goes to Miles' timeline to stop... Well, not really stop, but to save Miles from the other Spider People. I'm going to call them Spider People because there's so many. And it turns out that the dimension that Miles Morales was sent to was the dimension that the spider that bit him came from, which causing that Spider-Man to be, that spider being sent to Miles' dimension. There is no Spider-Man, and New York is in complete chaos. Which it's nice, we get to see a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man. I'm sorry, it really itches. It's really cool. We get to see Miles' uncle again. Miles' uncle takes him to the rooftop where he's eventually knocked out. Gwen is like he's in another universe. She talks with Miles' parents, and she goes to find him, and his parents are like, please tell him that he's grounded for 5 months and we love him. And Gwen is getting all the spider people that are willing to work with her to save Miles, and we get to see the end credits. We get to see in this universe the Prowler is Miles Morales, and those two together, and that's the end of the movie. It wasn't terrible. Definitely not terrible. I have definitely seen a lot worse over the years as films continue, but this film does have some problems. Like, I felt like they mistreated 2099. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. It's basically this Spider-Man right here. I felt like they kind of mistreated him near the end of the film, because he was good for a while until as it kept going, where he totally went like space crazy to get rid of Miles Morales. Like, I get it, but I felt like they mishandled the character. Granted, I might have to do some more research, but I don't think he acted that way in the comics or the video games or anything like that. But yeah, not terrible. Personally, I had to give it maybe an 8 out of 10. Like, it's not terrible, but it definitely has its issues. Anyway, what do you think of the film? Tell me in the comments. And have a nice day, everyone.